You guys, I am so excited to have on Overshare today Red Carpet Roxy, aka Roxy Manning, aka the host of an amazing podcast called Women on Top.
Do you remember your first handle ever, your screen name back in the day?
Do you remember dial-up? When you
my gosh,
signed
absolutely. Because it was like a very big controversy because
Yes.
if you're on the computer, then no one can call. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Overshare, the podcast. It's me, Lily, and I'm here with Jocelyn, and we are still not together because...
Still not together.
You know, the world is still ending and more ways than usual. But shall we just get into our first segment?
Let's dive into it, please. So, over it.
What she said. But before we start, should we tell them? The
Yes,
announcement?
we should tell them the big announcement, which
Tell
is...
them the news.
You guys, we got a phone number.
Dun, dun, dun. We want you guys to call the phone number to tell us what you're over. Because you know how we always forget to think of something, basically? Well, this is going to be our way of not forgetting because we're going to have you guys call and leave a voicemail and tell us what you're over in your life.
Yep. And we're going to be incorporating it into this little show, which I'm very excited about because we've never done anything like this. Even back in the day, we've never had a phone number. So this is exciting.
We've never taken calls, but also if you could keep them to under 3 minutes, that would be
under 3 minutes. And the phone number is 562-661-8729. Over it. Call us.
We should come up with like a jingle. Like I feel like there's like car dealerships and stuff that sing them that like then everyone will remember.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I'll definitely work on that. I love singing.
We'll both work on it. Okay, what are you over?
Okay, so gosh, I'm so sick of cooking, Lily. I'm so sick of cooking.
Me always.
And Chris and I, even before quarantine, we definitely cook like all of our meals.
Wait, actually, back up.
What?
You're so sick of cooking. Literally, if you go to her Instagram stories, you act like you fucking love it.
Well, here's the thing. I do enjoy it. But here's the
Which
situation.
is the truth.
It is the truth that I enjoy it. But I think having to do it and not having a choice to enjoy my culinary festivities is what's annoying because it's starting to make me not like it. Because I do enjoy cooking, but only like...
Sounds like you're flip-flopping.
Only like 4 days a week, though. I told my aunt this, my Auntie M, the one who's very invested in you and what's going on with you. And she just literally laughed in my face and was like, just wait till you have children, then we can talk. And I was like, what? I was like, but won't the restaurants be open then?
Nope. They're never opening again.
Because
maybe you'll be lucky though, and you'll have a picky eater like me, and then you just don't have to make that many things.
I'll only make them dinosaur chicken nuggets.
The reason I am a picky eater.
Don't get me wrong. I do enjoy cooking like up to 4 nights a week, but the other 3 nights, Mama wants to go to like I don't know somewhere out of this house. Get me out of here. I mean,
that's more than I'm cooking.
I know, but like, I don't know. It's just, I feel like I'm sick of all the stuff I make. I need new recipes. So if any of you guys listening or watching have any good, healthy, under 15-minute recipes, hit me up. What are you sick of, Lil? What are you over?
I am sick of not having any shows that I'm really into right now.
Oh my gosh. Have you watched Entourage?
Yes.
Have you watched Ballers? Ballers is great.
I actually don't know if I have. No, what I'm also sick of on a similar note is that movie releases keep getting pushed. I don't have any specifically in mind right now, but I feel like I'll always Google like 2020 thrillers and I'll like go through this list and be like, oh, like these 3 sound great. And then I go and search each one of them and it's like, nope, it doesn't exist yet.
Well, here's the even crazier thing. Right now, the movies that are getting released are films that were shot like a year ago, 2 years ago. Literally, in probably 6 months to a year,
we're just going to run out.
We will have nothing. We will literally have nothing.
What are we going to do?
You and I need to make a film. And we will release it, and we will make gazillions of dollars off of this. I'm telling you.
What is the premise of this gazillion dollar making film?
It's going to be a buddy comedy Okay. That's all I've got so far. I mean,
if you had said anything else, it wouldn't have even remotely been something we could even pretend like we're entertaining. So good job.
But you know what? We do have a friend who's written a film. So we'll just ask Megan to write it for us.
I was like, who?
Megan Rinks.
The writer. Yes, Megan has.
So I think maybe if she'll do it for us, then we could pay her in a couple of years.
I was gonna say, but how does that work? Is that just like by proxy, like by association? We can do it too then.
Well, don't you feel like we could make a film? Don't you think we could? Why not?
Uh-huh.
All right.
So,
well,
should we move on to our guest and what we're oversharing this week?
Yes, I'm very excited about our guest. It's someone I've been friends with for a really, really long time. You guys, I am so excited to have on Overshare today, Red Carpet Roxy, aka Roxy Manning, aka the host of an amazing podcast called Women on Top, and someone who I have to say, I don't even know if you know this, Roxy, I have known for a really long time, probably over 10 years, and who was so nice to me when I was first starting out covering red carpets, when I was literally like drooling on myself, and you were already glamorous. You already had your shit together. And look at you now. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I love that intro. I'm like, oh my God, I totally felt like I was drooling the whole time too.
This was like back in the day, first off, when red carpets used to happen. And I am so curious to know from you, because like Red Carpet Roxy, hello, you were like the pro on this.
Justin's very concerned about your name.
Do you think red carpets are ever coming back?
Well, at this point, I feel like I should change my name to Zoom Carpet Roxy.
Ooh, very, very topical.
There we go. Right. That is a great question. I think that is like the $1 million question, because with the current state that we're in, like the way that people are feeling about what's going on, I don't see how a red carpet can exist. Because I know I did hear though about an event that happened a little while back where I think they tried to do a red carpet, but it just didn't, pan out well. So that is actually, I would love to know myself, because, I built my career sort of on this and had to pivot now,
I mean, if it does come back, it could be actually really working in your favor. Cause I feel like, I haven't done many a red carpet, but I've been on a few, and it's a lot of tight spaces and shoulders and elbows and people just trying to get their spot. What if it was a social distancing carpet? So then you really actually had your own spot.
That is kind of with our like plexiglass.
Exactly.
On the side,
it's like they can't even like, I'm just going to put my bag or my stool here. Nope. Can't do that. Stay on your side. Yes, could be a dream come true, actually.
Yep. You know what? Because that is like half the problem when you're out there. It's like people are like pushing, and it's like so cramped, and like the cameramen are trying to get their cameras in, and you're just trying to do your thing. And
I think that's one of the reasons that I never wanted to do it. It's way high stress, and not because of the celebrities, but because of the other side, because you're literally trying to like box people out for your space.
Right. But you know what? That's the funny thing, right? Is that like so many people I met, especially when I was like first starting out freelancing, people like you who were like such a pro, like knew what you were doing. The reason that we all got to know each other over the years is because we were literally, like, quite literally on top of each other. You know what I mean?
Really in each other's personal space.
I don't know if the general public realizes that, unless you're, of course, like E! News or like CNN or something, you are, next to the person, standing next to the person, that's reporting next to you with like, your faces might be touching. Right?
Not everyone gets a platform.
Well, that's the thing too. And I always tell people, I'm like, I can tell who's had like a cocktail or two, because you're literally and maybe it was even me that had the cocktail or two. I don't know. But you're literally on top of one another. So it is a very intimate experience,
It is.
And then you're like competing for the attention of all of these people too. So it's like, if you don't have that much space and someone like gets in front of you, then you might miss out on an interview. So you have to be really aggressive.
Yes.
So to hear that you were nice, very impressive.
Yeah, no, it's true. You have to like fight for your time,
And that's what's so interesting, little segue here about doing podcasts, is that, you get to have this like solid amount of time with the guest where you can like go deeper, ask more than one question. And your show, oh my gosh, you guys. By the way, you have to go subscribe to Roxy's show, which is co-hosted by Tam and Sursock, which, by the way, I used to cover Pretty Little Liars like every freaking day. Love her. You guys get the wildest people on your show. Like, just give us a little morsel of goodness as far as like, who are some of your favorite guests you've had on?
Oh my God. Well, we literally just this morning wrapped our show with Glennon Doyle, which was like a game changer. I mean, literally, you guys, like, I don't know if you guys have had a chance to read her books, but literally, I mean, she unlocks, I think, and I feel like this is kind of a universal with her. She unlocks something in everyone. Like you resonate with her words, like on one level or another. So to have her in person on our podcast was just like, like the heavens were opened, you know? Like,
how do you even decide what to ask her?
I mean, that's part of the problem, right? Because it's like you want to ask her so much, but it's so funny. We just kind of let the conversation flow, and it just went to all these like very like organic places. I mean, we talked everything from like, you know, our kids to parenthood to sexuality to Abby, her wife, to you know, raising it. I mean, it was just like there was some, and it just like flowed, and she just is that cool person, you know, and like, you know, we were dropping F-bombs and like, you know, it was like girls, it was like friends hanging out, like just talking, just wrapping up. But of course, with her like knowledge, her amazing knowledge that she's dropping, you know, like the whole time, kind of just unbelievable.
And that's how I honestly felt when I was girl, you know, child of the 90s, obviously 90210. We've already discussed 90210 on this podcast, but the fact that you were just having like, and I don't know if you already know Tori Spelling, but you were having this chat with her that was just like, I felt like she was telling you secrets I had never heard her talk about before.
That one was wild too, because it was like, again, like it felt like being like at a restaurant with your girlfriends and just like shooting the Am I allowed to curse?
Yeah, yes. We have no rules here. We have no rules.
Good. I love it. Yeah, so like shooting the, you know, it was like literally, you know, Tammin and Tori and myself, we sat down and it was like, it was so natural, you know, it was like, we talked about her childhood and then we got into 90210 and then she started like telling us all these little gems that were just
like that all of them were hooking up with each other. Like I didn't know that.
Right? I know. And you know, it was funny because when we were talking to her about it, she was telling us, well, first of all, we were like, of course you were, because, you know, it's like in your prime, you know, you're just like coming of age and everyone's like, you know,
like a bunch of hot people together.
Yeah, exactly. Throw them in a room, you know, and they're with each other, you know, 18 hours a day. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But it was like the little jewels she told us about, like when they were shooting and like the special, you know, she told us about the last scene of 90210 when David and Donna got married and like the fact that they wrote their vows. I mean,
well, I always think it's interesting with stuff like that because I feel like they might not realize how interesting it is to other people. So like them telling it is like just like a casual conversation. But to you guys, it's like, oh my God.
I know.
It's like you feel like you're privy to something, you know, like they're letting you in, you know?
It's crazy. Anyways, I'm a big fan of the show. Also, you guys have probably talked about this, but how did you and Tammin meet each other? Because, I mean, she's an icon playing Jenna all those years on PLL. I've watched every episode of the show. Okay. Like, I'm a real fan.
It's a long-running show.
Wait, I love that you guys have seen it because you know that I still have never seen an episode of it.
You have to watch it.
I have to watch it because it seems like it would be right up my alley.
It's funny because I see so much on Twitter about it now, specifically about the Lucy Hale's character, her relationship with a teacher that everyone was just like totally okay with. And we were all just like, yeah, he's hot. It's fine. No, not okay.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, that amongst a lot of other things in that show. But it's a wild ride. I would say, like, if you want a great weekend binge, but honestly, it will probably take you 2 months.
Yeah, right? Because there's so many. I mean, that show ran for like what, like 8, 9 seasons, right?
A long time, a really long time. Lily's doing some research right now. But did you guys meet like through your kids? You're both moms.
7 seasons.
Yeah, so
7 seasons, damn.
7 seasons. Wow, it's a long time. I mean, for TV shows, that's a long time.
Sure.
We actually met. So our kids currently go to school with each other, but we had actually the first time we met was through a group that we're in, comprised of like moms who work in creative industries and like the fashion industry and entertainment. So we first sort of met through that, but I would say our relationship got cemented when our kids started going to school together because we spent more time together. And so we just always had a very natural flow with our conversations with each other, even though we're very opposite. You know, like I'm definitely more extroverted and out there. Tammin tends to run a little more deep, more, she's not as like, out there crazy as I am. Well, crazy in her own way. Crazy in her own way. But all good. In a great way. It's amazing. So we just started like talking, and it was kind of like one of those things where it was like, timing met like preparation. It was kind of like luck because at the time I've been thinking about starting a podcast, and she had been talking to her agency about also doing the same thing. And she just asked me one day, she's like, would you ever want to do this? And I was like, yeah, as a matter of fact, yes. Cause I had been like talking to other people like in New York and, kind of putting it out there in the universe. So it came together perfectly.
That's so cool.
And that was like last year.
Well, I was going to say, I feel like you guys were early to the game. Like now it's like, I feel like everyone Lily and I know has a podcast, quite literally, I would say, which is great because we have one too, which more is more, honestly. But you guys got in at a really good time, and the show is so good, and I could talk to you about it forever. But today we actually have a little overshare topic that I feel like is perfect for you.
Okay.
We are going to dive into basically like the history of the interwebs. Well, why don't you break it down?
Well, so this stemming from Jocelyn being concerned about what's going to happen to your name if there are no more red carpets. Do you have any backups? Are you going to change your handles? And then we were talking about, do you remember your first handle ever, your screen name back in the day? AIM or AOL?
Oh, on AOL. I did have AOL. Wait a minute.
I actually just recently, for a video, downloaded all of the old sound effects from AOL. And it's so weird how much they're still like, it just like brings you right back.
Oh my God. Do they sound this like, are they like, how do they sound? Are they just like.
There's definitely, I couldn't find like high definition versions.
Yeah. It's like very like,
yeah, they don't like new ones.
Yeah.
It's still, it's still pretty rough. But like I feel like the AOL You've Got Mail.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just like the welcome, even just like the weird little like tones.
I'm like, yes.
Yeah. I was like, I'm not even going to try and make the noise because I know it's not going to sound like it.
And you guys may or may not remember this. Do you remember dial-up? When you
my gosh,
sign up?
Absolutely. Because it was like a very big controversy because if you're on the computer, then no one can call. So it's like, well, you can't play The Sims for that long if you're going to be connected to the internet. I'm wondering now, was The Sims connected to the internet? Or was I just on AIM for a long time?
I don't think I had that. I don't think I had Sims. It sounds like something that was probably fun, and my parents were not about that. They were like,
was the computer like educational only?
Well, yeah, and I don't know about you, so like that's kind of what we're gonna like dive into is like the history of like, I mean the interwebs essentially. It sounds a lot
basically like what were you doing on your computer 15 years
20
ago?
20 years ago.
Oh my God. I remember, when did I join Facebook? I never had a MySpace, but I had the thing called Friendster.
Me too.
Do you remember Friendster?
Yes.
Oh God,
okay.
Yes.
Roxy, the thing that tripped me out about Friendster. Do you remember that, like, if you liked a guy or whatever, he could see how many times you looked at
yes.
the profile?
The profile. So you were always like outed, like no matter what.
It's like it's like LinkedIn, how LinkedIn is now, where people can tell how many times you've looked at their profile. But like, I don't remember much else about Friendster. Do you?
It was like you could like design your page or something. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you could like be like, okay, this is going on this side, like this is going in here, and it was like, they could tell how many times you looked at their profile. I remember that.
Did like everyone have it?
I feel like it was like the precursor to Facebook, maybe,
it
right?
Was.
Like
it was.
But like, was it like you and a few friends, or was it like everyone like in your class at school, or was it something you talked to like strangers?
Mm,
I like feel like all my friends were on it.
Same.
Do you know
So
what I mean?
I was in college at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember I was living in a sorority house, and like everybody in the sorority had it, and all the fraternities and like that whole circle of people, we were all on there, and it was absolutely the precursor to Facebook. That's how I would describe it. Absolutely.
Yes.
Did you guys not have MySpace?
That was later, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was after. Yeah, Friendster
I had
was
MySpace
like
though, and then Facebook, so it would have been like in between.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You fell right in between that crack of like Friendster and Facebook, like the MySpace, you know?
Yes, I Googled Friendster and it came up like Friendster.com. So I click on it thinking maybe it still exists.
Right.
Goes to a landing page where it's Friendster is taking a break. The break was
ever
effective June 14th, 2015. Looks like they're still on it. And it says that the redesigned Friendster came through with an enduring passion to make a difference. It was a gaming community, apparently. And they say, however, due to the evolving landscape in our challenging industry, the online gaming community did not engage as much as we had hoped. Profound development in the gaming industry has also led us to rethink our strategic priorities.
Oh my God. So they literally
Sad,
put
guys.
that on the homepage now.
Yep.
Of Friendster, which I'm actually shocked even still exists. But you know, it like gets me thinking too, which, so like, I didn't even have a cell phone or an email address until I turned 8, until I was like in college.
Yeah, I was just going to ask even, when did you get your first computer?
When I moved to college, my parents got me. Do you remember, Roxy, the brand Gateway? That like,
yes,
that's what I had. It got a virus like the day I got it, basically.
Fun fact: did you know that Ghislaine Maxwell used to date the CEO owner of Gateway?
Of course she did.
I found that out yesterday.
Of course she did. But do you remember, like, what was your first like phone?
My phone was like, was it the flip phone? It might have been like my first phone. No, you know what? I'm sorry. I take that back. It was, I don't even know what the brand was, but it was like this kind of like brick sort of contraption.
Was it Nokia, perhaps?
Yes, it was Nokia. Oh my God, it was Nokia.
Did you have your custom case that you bought at a kiosk in the mall?
Oh my God, I did. Because everyone lived for their custom case, you know?
Wait, like, and how old were you guys when you got them?
I was 18. I actually, funny story. My parents were so pissed because I went to college and like, I don't know if at like at your college campuses, but at mine, they had the people set up that were like trying to get everyone to sign up for credit cards and for cell phones. So of course I did both. And my parents were like, are you kidding us? Like, because of course I had no credit at that point. So it was like, everything was like coming back to them. And
time to build it.
Yeah, right, exactly. And of course, back in those days too, like the cell phone, it wasn't like now where you can roam and just like chat freely anywhere, at any time. Like there were like roaming charges. Remember?
Oh my gosh,
right? So if you went out of your state or like out of the state, it was like double the price.
And texting, once that was the thing, if you went out of your texting plan, oh my God. I remember there was a time that I was texting a guy and my mom got the bill at the end of the month and it was like hundreds of dollars because they charge you so much for the overage fees. And it was like, you sent more than 50 text messages? Nope. You owe us $300. It was a rough time.
Totally.
What's interesting about the concept of roaming charges is that I remember it wasn't even just like leaving your state. It would be like leaving your county or like leaving the general area. I had an $800 cell phone bill my freshman year of college. And my dad is still mad about it 20 years later, by the way. And
he's like repaid it. And
this is actually before texting because my parents wouldn't even let me have texting on my phone plan, which by the way, such a snobby problem to have. Like my parents are paying my phone bill. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
No, but honestly, it wasn't even available on phones until like, I think it was probably not until like, I want to say like 2004-ish. Maybe.
Which was like, I was 22. So
like, that's like you're out of college by the time texting. Like, could you imagine everyone listening not having texting in college? Because I cannot. I literally got a phone when I was in 6th grade.
You know what is so funny now that you're bringing up texting is that my husband and I, when we met, because we met in 2003, there was no texting. So I actually had to pick up the phone to talk to him. Because, now, like with people dating and everything else, like people text, like, and I think that's why a lot of like the meaning of like what they're saying gets lost, in translation somewhere because no one's picking up the phone to talk to people anymore,
But
I
also, I feel like texting is such an art in itself that like if you can't communicate in like your texting communication form, then that's hard to have a relationship with someone too.
Yeah.
Absolutely screwed. How did you meet your husband, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, so here's how it happened.
You guys are so cute, and you have a daughter, and you're just like the most little like adorable family ever.
Oh my God, you're so sweet. Thank you, my love. We met because it was back in 2003. Actually, I had lived in New York during 9/11.
Oh, dang.
So, yeah. And so I was out there, like, kind of, saw it all happen. So my parents convinced me, I'm originally from Dallas. So they convinced me to move back home to Dallas, to kind of set up shop there and like see how things went. So I was like, great. I felt like I went back there. I moved. I like started my business, like did the whole thing. And I had a girlfriend that I went to USC with, that I went to college with, who was doing PR for this event. And she said, hey, come out, like to Miami. I'm doing this amazing event. We'll even make like a girls' weekend of it. It'll be amazing. So great. I go out. Turns out the guy whose event it was my husband. So he had hired her to do the PR. And it was like one of those crazy things where from the moment I saw him, I just knew. I knew it was different. Like in my gut, like, and I had always heard the kind of thing, because I'm romantic in some ways, but I'm a little cynical too. And people always saying, oh, when you know, and this and that, and I'm like, please, like maybe it's, maybe it's like whoever you end up with, whatever. But it was like this weird, deep feeling in my stomach. And he to this day will tell you the story that we were having lunch, myself and my girlfriend, and he walked into this place, and I literally had a burger in my mouth, like like ketchup dripping.
Yes, I love it.
Getting in there like animal style, like Texas girl, And he was just like, that was so sexy because you just didn't even give a shit about, what was going on, like anything else. You were just like enjoying your burger. You didn't care. You weren't like, oh my God, I need like, a salad or whatever. Like you were just yourself. And I'm like, pretty much. So yeah, we hit it off that weekend and then ended up getting engaged 7 months later. But I was living in Dallas and he was living in New York.
Oh, that's crazy. And now you're living in
like,
LA.
Actually, I just left.
Totally. And so I ended up having, well, not having to, but I chose to move back to New York to be with him and have our engagement together there. And then I convinced him, because he is like a diehard East Coaster from Boston. I was like, let's just go back out to the West Coast, because I had come out here for school. So I was like, you're going to love it. It'll be great. He's like, fine, I'll give it a year. Cut to, that was 2006.
You're like, it's been 15 years and we're still here.
He's like, oh, this weather is actually very nice.
That's totally what it is. Totally. He's like, I can't go back now to those winters. I'm like, see, I told you.
I would never leave my apartment if I lived in New York in the winter.
It was brutal, you guys. And we had two like huge German shepherds that we would have to walk no matter what.
Nope.
Rain, snow, sleet, hail, like whatever it was. I remember so many times I'd walk because they, you get sideways rain there and my umbrella would blow backwards and I'd be like trying to walk with the dog.
Oh my God, this sounds terrible. Thank God you moved.
Totally. I definitely have FOMO when I go back to New York because it is amazing.
And LA also kind of sucks too.
Yeah, I know. It's like a double-edged sword.
I get it.
But you know what? Like and this is something that I didn't do, but that I kind of wish I had now just for like context. But like you met your husband at an event in real life. I feel like, well, we're living through COVID right now, but also like that doesn't happen anymore. Everyone I know meets like online or in an app. Did you ever try like any of the early dating apps?
You know what? I never did. But I mean, I probably would have if I, like hadn't met him.
But you remember, like, back in the day, there was, like, a stigma. Like, in 2005, if you were, like, trying to date online, people would be like, oh, what's wrong with you? Like, people actually, like, thought it was really weird back then.
Yes. They did. You're right. It was a stigma. It was like, oh, you can't meet people. Like, you have to use, like, an app or, like, you know, you have to do it this way. But now it's like, it's so normal because people are so busy, I feel like. And, you know, women, we're all working, we're doing our thing. Like,
I feel like any guys that I would meet like out at work or at events and stuff were always like either in relationships, married, or just like not gay. So just like not available in some capacity.
Totally not available.
But that it just like, if I was only relying on meeting people out, it wouldn't happen.
No, not at all. Absolutely.
I guess then it's also that I'm not going to the right places or like actively seeking out places where it's like single people hang out. But I don't know.
But the thing too, I wonder about like the dating apps, because it's so easy to meet people on them. I wonder if like now that's sort of a scapegoat for people. Like, oh, well, if I don't, you know, this person doesn't work out, I've got, you know, this person, you know, and it's like a constant flow.
Absolutely, yes! I think it is.
Right? That's what I wonder. But I mean, I've heard great success stories from the dating apps too. So
my sister met her husband online. Did she? Yeah. And like, my sister's also like, we got to have her on this show because she listens and she's like, stop saying things about me that are not nice. I'm like, well, they're all true though. My sister's like on her first date asked her husband, I like you. Just want to know if the feeling is mutual. And he was like, he tells the story now that he's like, I thought she was crazy, but I thought it could be fun. So I stuck with it and here we are. You know what I mean?
Well, I love her directness.
And I always bring up, and I feel like we always question whether I made this up or not. He didn't have a profile picture.
Oh, my sister's husband?
Yeah.
You know what? That's a good question. We'll have to ask her at some
I feel like
point.
I always bring up that fact and you're like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, I feel like it's too weird to make up. It feels too random. But I'm pretty sure that he didn't even have a profile picture and she still went on a date with him. So she was just like, you know.
Really going for it. Really going for it. But Lil, I'm curious from you, like, because you're younger and you grew up like with all of this, like you grew up with like MySpace, Facebook, whatever. Like we did not. Like absolutely.
When I think of AIM, I think of like chatting with boys. It's like I think I had more boyfriends in like middle school than I did in my entire adult life. And it's because like all you had to do was just like have one conversation online, and then it's like, oh my god.
What was your screen? Do you remember your screen name?
Yeah. So I believe we've talked about before that I was really, really short. Until 10th grade, I had a growth spurt, but I was 4'10" going into high school. And now I'm like almost 5'9", honestly.
Oh, wow.
She's tall.
Wow.
But so, and the doctor was like, you're going to be lucky if you hit 5'1". And I played basketball and I remember just being devastated. And I'm like, because of my now ruined future in basketball, great. Cool. You didn't have one anyway. But, yeah, it was a friend had nicknamed me the Putian because I guess I've never read it, but Gulliver's Travels, there's Lilliputians.
Never read it.
Apparently there's Lilliputians and they're like little people. They're like that are like tiny little, I don't know.
Little nuggets.
It's like a character. So she used to call me the Putian. So it was the Putian 2184.
Oh, so there was already more Putians. Who knew it was such a hot name? 2184. That's a lot of people.
And the number was like, I needed to add something. And I think I literally just like went down on the keyboard and that was what came up. And now it still is like in random usernames that I need to make for things.
No, and you know, it's funny because my parents were very like strict. Like I didn't have like a phone. Well, I feel like when I was growing up too, like not many people had like their own phone or their own laptop. Like I don't even think laptops really existed like until those.
Well, it's just like when they all came out, and then it's like when they all became affordable enough that people were all buying them.
Right. But Apple had those really colorful ones, and those are the first ones that I remember. So my parents wouldn't let me use AOL or AIM or whatever because I would be tying up the one phone line in our house. And so when I moved to college, my freshman year, people were like shocked and appalled that I was not on this AAIM thing that I didn't even know about. And so a guy in my dorms who ended up becoming a really good friend of mine, he's like, you got to make a name. And he's like,
it would be like not being on Instagram now.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
it's like the same
weird. Yeah.
And I was like, well, I don't know what to make it. I don't have an idea. He's like, well, what are like 3 of your favorite things?
Oh no.
So my screen name was red because it's my favorite color. Diamond. Hello,
Great.
Ocean. My screen name was Red Diamond Ocean.
That's a very.
It kind of sounds like a stripper.
Such an AIM name, though.
Exactly.
Red Diamond Ocean on stage 1.
Oh my gosh, if I ever do become a stripper, I mean, if I ever get that confidence level, I might have to use it. But the other thing I think of all the time is like, I remember when Facebook was first invented, you had to have a college email address.
Yes.
So, my very first message is me messaging one of my best girlfriends to this day saying, this Facebook thing is so stupid. Why does anyone care about what other people are doing? It's never going to last. Cut to 20 years later, and I've built my whole career on the internet. Like, for you, is it ever crazy, Roxy, that like your entire career and life and everything is based on something that like we did not have growing up?
Yes, because who could have ever imagined this, right? It keeps going. It keeps going.
Round of applause for you guys adapting.
We're the grandmas. No, you guys are both much younger than me, but no, but it's true. It's like, how could you ever have imagined this? Now we've got TikTok and Twitch and Instagram and like the whole, it's just like, it's never ending. So it's like, in some ways it is kind of like daunting to think about, but in other ways it's like kind of exciting because we've really been able to like create our own paths, right? Like,
very, very true.
It's funny that you mentioned TikTok and stuff because I actually tweeted the other day after seeing, I think I watched a bunch of TikToks, and then there's so many apps now and I can't keep up with all of them. And I tweeted, I finally understand why old people just give up. Like I used to always be like, come on, gotta like keep with the times. And I'm like, never mind. There's so many things. My brain doesn't have, no energy is left for this. I'll stick to the ones I know.
But your daughter, Roxy, is she first grade or kindergarten?
First grade this year.
Does she know how to like code already?
Oh my God, basically. I mean, she literally can unlock. The problem is we gave her the passwords to the devices. So she will I'll walk in the room and she will have the iPad like already opened, like doing something, like, pictures. She loves to take pictures and videos. So she's like,
that's the thing. I think it's dangerous, but it's also, I think, could be so cool because like, I know I taught myself how to edit in high school because I was able to learn how to like pirate all of my software and everything. But that was like, even 5 years earlier, you wouldn't have been able to do that. So like me being able to do that ended up helping me and like making me more prepared for my career now. She can literally like learn how to do anything. Like I feel like they have so many resources. So that aspect is really cool. But then the other aspect is like, how do you control the resources? Do you have parent controls?
Yes. We have her like little devices are not hooked up to like the outside world per se. I mean, we have like kids things downloaded on her devices, like little games and stuff. And she can't really access.
Like on like the dark web.
Exactly. We have a parental control on the dark web. And there's no real like phone attached, but she has like an app that like sort of mimics a phone. So she can only like call my husband and I. So she thinks she's like making phone calls, to the outside world, but really not.
She thinks she has full access.
Yeah, totally full access. But it was interesting at her school. They started tech class last year in kindergarten, so it's like right from the beginning.
I mean, babies have iPads.
Isn't it crazy? Like
they're like crazy. I feel like some adults I know need to join that kindergarten class. Honestly.
Oh my God, no, you guys, seriously, like towards the end of the year last year, her tech teacher would give her assignments. I was like, wait, what? And I was like, oh my God, like, are you smarter than a kindergartner? I don't know.
I mean, genuinely, like third graders are full on coding. Like they are taking classes. And I'm like, I mean, I used to know I could do like HTML on my MySpace profile. But
I'm scared of the math classes. Like when she gets older, I'm like, oh my God, you guys.
Thank God for tutors. But I will say, and this is like, this show that we do is obviously very silly and lighthearted. But I have to say, the thing that you posted of your daughter, what she had written at school, like the 3 words, break that down, because I was like almost gonna like shed a tear. I was like, whatever you're doing as a mom is like something I need to like write down for future.
Oh my God, you're so sweet. Thank you. So basically, we were doing, we call it fun sheets in the summer. It's really homework. We're like, time to do fun sheets.
And she's like, trick me with that shit.
It's all marketing. It's all marketing.
Packaging.
You're right. So she had this book, and it was like a handwriting book, and like learning how to compose sentences and stuff like that. So one of the sentences was, Jeff is brave. And what she was supposed to do is just copy the sentence, like word for word, so she learns how to handwrite. But I was like, I don't like the way that this is like feeling right now. So I looked at the sentence, and I read the sentence to her, and we talked about brave. And I said, I want you to write a sentence based on what we just talked about bravery. And so she wrote, her name is Bray. So she wrote, Bray is a girl. And I said, what? Oh, interesting. I'm like, why did you choose that sentence? And she goes, because Mommy, when I think about bravery, I think about being a girl, because girls are brave, and I am a girl. And I was like, oh my God, she's totally getting it,
Oh my gosh. I was dying when I saw that.
Oh my gosh, thank you. She just, like for me as a mom, I'm like, because so much of the time you don't know what the fuck you're doing, to be honest. Like, you are just throwing spaghetti on a wall, seeing what sticks. Like, it's just that. And it's like, so much of the time too, you're thinking to yourself, how do I not screw this child up? Like, how am I going to like give her, the tools that she needs to like go into the outside world. But it was just like one of those moments where I was like, okay, just like a little, not like a pat on the back, but just like a little tap on the back. Like, okay, good. That was
like a sigh of relief.
Yes. Yeah, like a sigh of relief. Because I really, especially when you're raising little girls, I think now, like, it's just about instilling them with so much confidence. And like, so much of the world, even as forward as we are, even from like 10, 15, 20 years ago, is still not caught up in a lot of ways. It's still like you see sentences like that in the book. Jeff is brave. Why is Bray not brave?
Yeah, exactly.
Why is it not Claire is not brave, or whatever, So I think for me, like that moment, that's why I posted it on my Instagram on Red Carpet Roxy, because to me, it was like one of those moments where I was just so proud of her. And
of you too, because here's the thing. I had to have my driver's permit for like a long time. I had to go to college for 4 years to graduate. You get pregnant, you have a baby, and then one day later they're like, go home, have fun, good luck. Like, what the F? Like,
there should be more tests and studying and certificates involved.
Yes, literally. And I don't know about you guys, I didn't have like a ton of experience with kids before I had her. I mean, I did babysitting growing up, like here and there.
I barely did that.
Yeah, like really not like a huge ton, like a wealth of like knowledge to draw on. I mean, I had friends who had babies, but still, like, not
I feel like you're either like a person that's been around kids and gets it, and then someone that just like has never been around ones that you have to be even remotely responsible for.
Yes.
And you do anything more than just look at.
Yes. And I remember being in the hospital. First of all, so I had to have a C-section, but it felt like a vacation in being in the hospital, because you have nurses coming in and like checking on you. Like, everyone's sort of waiting on you in a way. Like, it's like, and you really, I mean, you're feeding the baby, but you're not doing much because you're laid up from the C-section. So David, my husband, was like changing her diapers and, doing all the things. So once we got home from the hospital, that was like a kick in the stomach. I was like, what now? Like, well, what's going on? Like,
what do you mean?
I have no idea. Yeah. No one's coming home with us? Like, they're not here to help us? Like,
where are the helpers?
Yeah, where are the helpers? And those first 2 weeks, you guys, were like, what? I mean, my hormones were like all over the place. I was like screaming at my husband, my poor mother. I was like yelling at, like, I just like didn't know. My boobs were sore from breastfeeding. I was like recovering from the surgery. I'm like, what? I mean, eventually we figured it out, but it was literally those first few weeks home from the hospital were literally like the lowest point for me.
That is why girls are brave. Okay. Right there.
Yes.
There you freaking go. Okay. Exactly. Lily, I feel like you have to like tell Roxy about your biggest fear of having a child.
Tell.
And I don't want this to come across as like I hope that I'm not, the fear is not that they have like a learning disability or something.
Right.
It's that I specifically am unable to teach them how to talk. Like them not being able to talk is going to be my fault because I didn't teach them right. And like everyone's like, but Lily, you don't like it's not like a method you use. Like it's they just like learn. And I'm like, I know it's irrational, but for some reason it's gonna be like they're gonna be like 10 and people are gonna be like, wait, but you didn't do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, what?
Oh my gosh. You know what? I feel like I resonate with that too, because you know why? It's actually sort of daunting to think that like a child can learn a language, like speaking, like, because you're like, this is like a baby. Like, how are they eventually going to get to this point where they're actually like carrying on a conversation?
I think that's it. My brain can't comprehend that. And then I'm just like, I get them repeating things, but like, how do they know?
It's amazing. Even like starting from when they're so young, they're like freaking sponges. So like, even when you think they're not listening, they're listening. They're picking all that stuff up, right? I mean,
not to compare babies to puppies, but my dog, literally, some of the words that he knows, I'm like, you're a genius. Like, I don't understand how he has gotten to the point that he understands it, but he does. And I'm like, if he can do it, then, I mean, it makes sense. But like, oh my God, it's mind blowing to me.
It's mind-blowing. Well, did you know that dogs can know up to 600 words?
Yes, because I've watched many videos.
Yes!
Where they press the buttons. And there's one where they send they have named all of his toys and they literally have like specific individual names, and it'll be like, go get so like Moose, and goes in the other room into a pile of hundreds of toys and finds the specific toy, brings it back. Which, like,
amazing.
My dog does that with like 4 toys.
Yeah.
I don't know if he knows which one I'm saying or if it's just his favorite, but I only ever ask for
playing the odds. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, Roxy, we could talk to you forever, and we would actually love it if you could stay for our final segment.
Sure. Okay. That would be so fun.
So long, cherwell. I hate us so much more now.
All right, Lil, do you want to break down what this is all about?
Yes. So this is our Cherwell segment. So it's farewell, but then we're sharing something that brought us joy this week, because Joss and I also start off the episode telling everyone what we're over and complaining about things. So we figure we should end it on a lighter note. Do you want to kick us off?
Oh, yes. What brought me joy this week? You know, I think talking to Glennon Doyle on the podcast this morning. I mean, right. just casual, you know, like, by the way, you guys, this normally like does not happen. So I am like so like excited about it. I can't stop talking about it.
You should be.
Oh my gosh. She just was so amazing and so relatable. And she just, you know, she sort of gave me some help with my daughter's very sensitive. So she was really sort of coaching me on, because I think part of my problem is I'm so scared about sending her out into the cold, cruel world. Totally. And she's like, right? And she's like, no, she needs to feel pain. I mean, she needs to feel safe and held, but you've got to let her experience things and don't try to always fix the problem, you know? And it's like, that's my first reaction normally is go in, fix the problem, you know? So I think Glennon Doyle just basically telling me to like relax. It's going to be okay. I think probably what gave me joy today.
I think Glennon Doyle just helped me, honestly, from what you just said. So
solid reminder for everyone.
Right?
What about you, Lil? Have you talked to like Michelle Obama or anyone else cool this week?
No. Not a whole lot. Oh crap. What brought me joy? I just have had a not great couple days. And usually people, if I've ever like if my back ever is hurting a lot and I'm crying, people are like, oh, just like give Max a hug. And I'm like, my dog's like the opposite of a therapy dog. He's like scared of me when I'm crying. I think I've learned that it's like he's scared of my like in pain cry.
Mhm.
Speaking of, did he just bark? I think he's barking. I think he's scared of my like in pain cry and like frustrated, angry cry, I guess. But when I'm sad, he came over and he literally, I'd like just turned the lights off. I've been sleeping on the couch for some reason. And I laid down and he literally like, I'll send a picture that we can put in the YouTube one. He like came over and put his head, and he doesn't usually cuddle with me when we're sleeping. We're like on different cushions, but he came over and curled up in a little ball and put his head on my head and slept there. And it was just like the sweetest moment ever.
That's sweet. See, he's warming up to you.
There's
I love that.
There's several moments that happen. It is like, I'll give him a hug and he like leans into it or something, that I'm like actively in the moment being like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Because Roxy, do you adopt dogs, or have you fostered dogs
Yes.
too? Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we have currently 3 adopted dogs, which we got one in quarantine, like the biggest one, of course, the puppy that's like crazy. But yes, that's a big thing for us. We love animal rescue in this house, so we do adopt.
Well, Lily rescued her dog from China.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, girl, that is some good stuff.
He's a genius, truly. Like, I lucked out.
Does he know Mandarin?
Oh my
honestly,
gosh,
in the beginning, he was so scared of everything in the beginning, and I remember being like, he just like doesn't really know how to be a dog. And my mom's like, well, I mean, he doesn't speak the language, so I'm like,
that's true.
Cool, thank you, Mom.
Mandarin might be his first language.
Next.
That's true. We need to like get over an interpreter ASAP.
Hey.
Right?
There he is. Well, I love how you guys both share like these deep things, and I'm like, well, mine is definitely food. Mine is food related.
Oh, let's hear it. I love to eat.
So
it is lunchtime.
So obviously, like, my husband and I, like, we love food. He's Italian. Like, nothing brings him more joy than eating, which I think is great because life is all about simple pleasures, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we can't go anywhere. We've done like some takeout here and there or whatever. But we love sushi, and we go to like Sugarfish or sushi like kind of frequently, but not recently. For the first time ever, I got Postmates from Sugarfish. Have you ever done that? Are you a sushi person?
Yes, I love sushi. And actually, we've been doing the Sugarfish Postmates, and it's genius.
I love it because for people who like live in a place where they don't have access to the amazingness that is Sugarfish, it comes in this box. And when you open it, it's also like, it's a gorgeous box. Whoever's designing those should be making
the packaging is like,
you open this box and it has images of all of the different types of sushi that are inside the box. And then it literally tells you like what order to eat them in and what sorts of sauces to use. And it made me so happy. It made me feel like I was going places.
Right?
Kind of sad, but also awesome.
Like a slice of normal life, right? It's like sushi, like back in the day before COVID.
I know.
You can do that.
What are you going to do when this is over? Like, where's the first place you're going? Or like, are you going to go to Texas? Are you going to go to New York? What's your plan?
Happening?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to travel for sure. I think I'm going to book a trip somewhere. My sister lives in Barcelona.
Ooh.
So I kind of want to probably try to shack up there for a minute or two until she kicks me out. Right?
You should.
Right? Just to get away. Because I mean, you guys, this is going on. I think we were talking about it on the podcast earlier. It's like day 200 or something of the quarantine. Summer is pretty much canceled. It's just, it's over.
I know.
We're not doing the things that we enjoy doing and being social and for extroverts.
It just doesn't feel like there's anything to
hard.
look forward to.
No, there's no end in sight.
I know.
You
well,
know?
I would like to just invite us to go to Barcelona with you.
Yes, please.
I'll be seeing you there.
Tell your sister we're staying there.
Tell that sister of yours we'll be seeing her soon. And even COVID and this whole stay-at-home order and everything has been so hard, but it's been so cool to be able to connect with people like this. And it's so good to see you because I can't even remember the last time I saw you in person. Actually, I do remember, but it's been too long. So I'm glad that we could do this.
Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me, you guys.
Before we go, and we'll have all the info in the description box and in the info section on YouTube, but where can people find you and the podcast?
Okay, so you can find me at Red Carpet Roxy with a Y on all my socials,
for now.
All the handles. Yes, for now, exactly, until I change to Zoom Carpet Roxy. And then my website is redcarpetroxy.com, and I was covering red carpets, but I've had to pivot a little bit, so doing some other things on there. And then our podcast is Women on Top, which is Women on Top on iTunes and wherever you get your podcasts. And Women on Top Official is our handle on Instagram, and Women on Top Podcast is our handle on Facebook. So come join us because it's always a good time.
Da, da, da.
You should, because I think you guys do a really great job on your show. Obviously, you have like the journalism background, and so like I can tell that you're really listening and asking like really good, juicy follow-ups, but it feels like a really great just combo with girlfriends. And I love that so much. So keep up the great work. And thank you for hanging out with us. And for all of you guys listening or watching this on YouTube, hit the comments and let us know what your original AIM screen name was. I'm dying to know.
The more embarrassing, the better.
And we will see you guys later.
Bye.